High Admiral Zaxkari stood motionless before the curved observation window of the Celestial Harmony, flagship of the Galactic Concordat's 7th Fleet. Their iridescent scales reflected the soft blue glow of nearby nebulae as they contemplated the impossible readings before them. Impossible, they whispered, their auxiliary respiratory gills fluttering in agitation. Run the scan again. First Officer Telmera's tentacles rippled with nervous energy as she input the commands. High Admiral, we've already run the scan 17 times. The readings remain consistent. The object that had appeared at the edge of Concordat space defied every known law of physics. It was massive, nearly 3 kilometers in length, yet produced no heat signature. It moved without apparent propulsion, generated no recognizable energy emissions, and seemed to simply ignore the fundamental forces that govern spacetime. What do we know about its origin? Zaxkari demanded, their primary eyes fixed on the holographic display while their secondary set tracked the nervous movements of the bridge crew. It emerged from... Telmera hesitated, her voice dropping to a whisper, from the direction of Earth. The mention of that insignificant world sent a ripple of unease through the bridge. Earth was a quarantine planet, home to a primitive species that had barely managed to reach their own moon. The Concordat had been observing them for centuries, cataloging their slow technological progress and frequent conflicts. They were considered centuries away from achieving faster-than-light travel, let alone producing something like the vessel before them. Incoming transmission. The communications officer announced, their crystalline appendages vibrating with surprise. It's in perfect high concordat. Zaxkari's scales shifted to deep purple, a sign of intense focus. Put it through. The holographic display shimmered and resolved into an image that caused every alien on the bridge to freeze in shock. The figure was unmistakably human, but nothing like the humans they had observed on Earth. Her skin seemed to shimmer with subtle patterns of light, and her eyes held a depth that spoke of consciousness far beyond organic limitations. Greetings, High Admiral Zaxkari of the Galactic Concordat. The human spoke, her words flowing in flawless high concordat. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth vessel, Quantum Meridian. We apologize for any alarm our arrival may have caused. Zaxkari fought to maintain their diplomatic composure. You are human. From Earth. A smile played across Captain Chen's lips. Yes and no. We are what humanity became while you watched our surface civilization develop. You see, High Admiral, there are many paths to the stars. While you observed our primitive rockets and satellite launches, another branch of our species was taking a very different journey. The implications struck Zaxkari like a gravitational wave. You maintained a deception. For how long? Since before your people first discovered Earth, Chen replied. We learned early in our development that being underestimated had its advantages. While your observers documented our apparent struggles with basic spaceflight, we were exploring possibilities that your civilization had never considered. As if to demonstrate, the quantum meridian shifted. Its hull seemed to fold in on itself, twisting through dimensions that shouldn't exist, before reappearing instantaneously on the other side of the Concordat fleet. Impossible, Telmera exclaimed. The energy requirements alone. That's the interesting thing about impossibility, Chen interjected. It often simply represents the limitations of our current understanding. Your civilization mastered the manipulation of conventional spacetime. We chose to explore what lies beyond it. Why reveal yourselves now? Zaxkari asked, their scales shifting to a deep blue of profound realization. Because the galaxy is changing, High Admiral. There are threats approaching that neither of our civilizations can face alone. We've monitored your progress just as you've monitored what you thought was ours. Your achievements in conventional physics, your mastery of antimatter manipulation, your advances in biological engineering. They're remarkable. They're also insufficient for what's coming. The quantum meridian's hull rippled again, but this time it projected a series of images into the space around the Concordat fleet. They showed things that made even Zaxkari's highly trained mind struggle to comprehend. Vast geometric structures at the edges of known space, dark rifts that seem to devour light itself, and patterns in the cosmic background radiation that shouldn't exist. We're not here to threaten or challenge the Concordat, Chen continued. We're here to offer an alliance. Your civilization has mastered one path to the stars. We've mastered another. Together, we might just have a chance against what's stirring in the dark between galaxies. Zaxkari felt the weight of the moment settle over them. Everything they had believed about humanity's place in the cosmic hierarchy had been upended in the span of a single conversation. Yet as they studied the human captain's expression, they recognized something familiar, the same drive for exploration and understanding that had pushed the Concordat to the stars. The Council will need to be informed, Zaxkari said finally. This changes everything. Change is the only constant in the universe, High Admiral, Chen replied. The question is whether we choose to shape it together or face it divided. As the quantum meridian hung silently in space, its hull now transparent enough to reveal technologies that defied comprehension, Zaxkari realized that the age of Concordat supremacy had ended, but perhaps something far more interesting was about to begin. The Grand Chamber of the Concordat Council had never felt so small. High Admiral Zaxkari watched as the 12 Council elders processed the holographic display before them, their scales cycling through colors that reflected their tumultuous emotions. The quantum meridian hung in space above their capital world, its impossible hull now resembling a mirror that reflected not just light, but probability itself. This is an outrage. Elder Vexthor's scales flashed crimson with anger. They've been deceiving us for centuries, mocking our observation protocols, hiding their true development. How do we know this isn't prelude to invasion? Captain Sarah Chen's hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, her presence somehow both reassuring and unsettling. If invasion was our intent, Elder Vexthor, we wouldn't have announced ourselves at all. To demonstrate her point, the space around her hologram suddenly filled with hundreds of ghostly ship outlines, each one a perfect replica of the quantum meridian. These are the positions where we could have deployed vessels without your detection systems noticing. We chose instead to approach openly, honestly, and with respect. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans hadn't just achieved technological parity. They had surpassed the Concordat in ways that rendered their most advanced defense systems obsolete. You speak of threats. Council leader Sintera spoke, her ancient scales shimmering with wisdom accumulated over centuries. Show us. Chen nodded, and the chamber transformed. The councilors found themselves seemingly floating in deep space, witnessing events that defied explanation. At the edges of known space, massive geometric structures pulsed with dark energy, their very existence warping the fabric of reality. Strange, fractal patterns emerged from quantum foam, taking shapes that hurt to look at. We call them the Void Architects, Chen explained. They're not life as either of our civilizations understand it. They exist in dimensions beyond conventional space-time, and they're rebuilding the universe according to their own laws of physics. Impossible, Elder Vexthor whispered, but with less conviction than before. 3 months ago, by your time measurement, they erased an entire star system from existence. Chen continued. Not destroyed. Erased. As if it had never been. We only noticed because our quantum probability engines detected the discontinuity in space-time. High Admiral Zaxkari's scales shifted to deep blue as understanding dawned. This is why you maintained the deception. You were preparing for this. Yes, Chen acknowledged. We discovered traces of the Void Architects during our first experiments with quantum probability manipulation. We realized that conventional technological development wouldn't be enough to face them. We needed to take a different path entirely. To demonstrate, Chen gestured, and the quantum meridian's hull became transparent, revealing its inner workings. What the Council saw challenged everything they thought they knew about technology. There were no engines in any conventional sense. Instead, the ship seemed to be built around massive chambers where reality itself appeared to fold and unfold like origami made of light. Our ships don't move through space, Chen explained. They alter the probability of their location until they exist where we need them to be. We don't generate energy. We borrow it from parallel probability states where it's already being used efficiently. The Council watched in stunned silence as the quantum meridian demonstrated its capabilities. It split into multiple copies across probability spaces, phased through solid matter as if it were mist, and even briefly reversed its own temporal flow. But such manipulation of fundamental forces, Elder Kaximi, the Council's chief scientist, leaned forward, their scales flickering with intense curiosity. The computational requirements alone would be impossible using conventional computing. Yes, Chen finished. That's why we don't use computers as you understand them. Every crew member aboard a quantum-class vessel has undergone quantum consciousness integration. Our minds are directly linked to the quantum probability engines. We don't calculate possibilities. We experience them. The implications caused a wave of color changes across the council chamber. The humans hadn't just developed new technology. They had evolved themselves to interface with it in ways the Concordat had never imagined possible. And you offer to share this knowledge? Council leader Sintera asked carefully. We offer partnership, Chen corrected. Your civilization's mastery of conventional physics, antimatter manipulation, and biological engineering provides a foundation we never developed. Our understanding of quantum probability manipulation and consciousness integration offers possibilities you never explored. Together, we might have a chance against what's coming. As if to emphasize her point, the chamber's view shifted one final time, showing a massive void in space, a region where probability itself seemed to break down. At its edges, reality was already beginning to unravel. They're coming, Chen said simply. The only question is whether we face them as allies or watch separately, as our understanding of existence is rewritten without our consent. The council chamber erupted in discussion, scales flashing through every known color combination as the members debated. But High Admiral Zax Carey noticed something significant. Elder Vexthor, the strongest voice against human cooperation, had fallen silent, their scales showing the deep purple of intense calculation. The age of isolation was ending. The question was, what would take its place? Deep within the quantum meridian's consciousness core, High Admiral Zax Carey experienced humanity's true history for the first time. The ship's quantum integration systems had been modified to accommodate their alien biology, allowing them to perceive memories stored in the quantum probability field itself. This is overwhelming, Zax Carey managed, their scales shifting through patterns of amazement and disbelief as the story unfolded around them. Captain Chen's consciousness brushed against theirs in the shared space. The beginning is always the hardest part to process. Watch. The scene crystallized. Earth, nearly 2 centuries ago. While the world's governments focused on traditional space programs, a small group of scientists made an accidental discovery that would change everything. During experiments with quantum entanglement, they found consciousness itself could influence quantum states directly. The breakthrough wasn't technological, Chen's thoughts explained. It was biological. We discovered that human consciousness had an unusual property, the ability to collapse quantum probability waves through pure observation. The memory shifted, showing years of secret development. Underground facilities where volunteers learned to extend their consciousness into the quantum realm. The first successful integration of human minds with quantum probability fields. The discovery that consciousness could be used to manipulate reality itself. While your observers watched our space shuttles and satellites, Chen continued, we were learning to step sideways through probability. Our first true quantum ship never launched from Earth. It simply shifted the probability of its location until it existed in orbit. The scenes accelerated. The formation of a hidden society of quantum-integrated humans living in probability spaces that existed alongside conventional reality. The development of technology that didn't rely on traditional physics, but rather on the direct manipulation of quantum states through collective consciousness. But why maintain the deception for so long? Zaxkari asked, their thoughts rippling with curiosity. The answer came in a flood of memories. Early quantum scouts had detected the Void Architect's influence at the edges of known space. They witnessed entire civilizations being unmade, their very histories rewritten to follow patterns the human consciousness couldn't comprehend. We needed time. Chen's thoughts resonated. Time to develop our abilities, to understand the true nature of the threat. If the Void Architects had detected our quantum manipulation capabilities too early, the memory space shifted again, showing a devastating scene. A distant alien civilization, far more advanced than either humanity or the Concordat, discovering the Void Architects and attempting to fight them with conventional weapons. The entire species was erased from existence so completely that even their quantum probability traces vanished. So we hid, Chen continued. We let the galaxy see what it expected to see, a young species stumbling toward the stars. Meanwhile, we prepared. We evolved. We became something new. The quantum memory space rippled as Chen shared the most closely guarded human secret. The images showed how humanity had split into two distinct but connected civilizations. The surface world that maintained the illusion of normal technological progress, and the quantum-integrated society that explored realities beyond conventional understanding. Your civilization mastered the physical universe, Chen explained. You built ships that could traverse galaxies, weapons that could shatter planets, shields that could withstand supernovas. But the Void Architects don't operate in physical space. They exist in the quantum foam between possibilities. That's where we learned to fight. A new memory formed. The first contact between human quantum scouts and a Void Architect construct. The humans had survived not by fighting, but by shifting the probability of the encounter itself, making it simultaneously happen and not happen until the construct's influence couldn't resolve properly in their reality. We don't just pilot our ships, Chen's thoughts explained. We are our ships. Each vessel is a physical manifestation of collective human consciousness, given form through quantum probability manipulation. The whole you see isn't metal or energy. It's crystallized possibility, shaped by the combined will of its crew. Zaxkari's consciousness reeled at the implications. Their civilization had spent millennia perfecting the art of building better machines. Humanity had instead chosen to become something that transcended the very concept of machinery. But now we face a problem, Chen continued, bringing them to the present moment. The Void Architects are accelerating their reconstruction of reality. Our quantum probability engines have detected massive distortions approaching Concordat space. We need your help. Our help. Zaxkari's confusion rippled through the quantum field. What could we possibly offer against such power? The answer came as Chen shared one final memory. A simulation showing how Concordat antimatter technology, combined with human quantum manipulation, could potentially create stability anchors in reality itself, points where the Void Architect's influence couldn't take hold. Your science masters physical space, Chen explained. Ours masters probability. Together, we might be able to create something new, a way to lock certain possibilities into place, making them immune to quantum reconstruction. As the quantum integration session ended and Zaxkari's consciousness returned to their physical form, they found their scales had settled into the deep gold of absolute certainty. The Concordat scientists would need to be briefed, their military commanders prepared, their people ready for the revelation that everything they knew about humanity had been wrong. But more importantly, they needed to hurry. In the quantum probability streams that human sensors could detect, reality itself was beginning to unravel, and time, in all its possible configurations, was running out. The combined fleet of human and Concordat vessels hung in the space above Colony World Nexus 7, their formations representing two radically different approaches to space travel. The Concordat ships gleamed with conventional perfection, their antimatter drives pulsing with contained power. The human vessels shifted through probability states, their forms suggesting multiple possible configurations simultaneously. Void anomaly detected, announced the quantum sensor operator aboard the Quantum Meridian. Reality distortion approaching from Vector 227 Mark 45. High Admiral Zax Carey, now stationed on the bridge of the Quantum Meridian alongside Captain Chen, watched as the tactical display showed what their sensors could never have detected alone. A tear in the fabric of probability itself, spreading like a crack in glass across space. Multiple probability chains collapsing. Chen reported, her consciousness partially merged with the ship's quantum systems. They're trying to rewrite the colony's history, make it so it never existed. The Void Architect's approach was visible now, even to conventional sensors. The space around Nexus 7 began to shimmer with impossible geometries, as if reality itself was being folded into new configurations that human and Concordat minds were never meant to comprehend. All ships, execute Protocol Quantum Lock, Chen commanded. The human vessels shifted into a precise formation, their quantum probability fields beginning to resonate in harmony. Concordat vessels, prepare antimatter containment fields according to the modified specifications. This was the moment of truth, the first test of whether two radically different approaches to understanding the universe could work together to preserve it. The theory was elegant in its simplicity. Use the Concordat's mastery of antimatter to create points of absolute physical certainty, then use human quantum manipulation to spread that certainty across probability space, creating zones where reality couldn't be rewritten. Void entity emerging, the sensor operator announced. What appeared in normal space defied description. A construct of pure mathematics given form, its very existence an argument against the laws of physics as either species understood them. The entity began its work immediately. Around its edges, probability collapsed into singular states that aligned with its alien architecture. The colony's sun flickered as its history was rewritten. Its evolutionary path shifted toward a pattern that pleased the Void Architect's incomprehensible aesthetic. Now, Chen and Zax Carey commanded simultaneously. The Concordat ships fired, not with weapons, but with precisely calibrated streams of contained antimatter. At the same moment, the human vessels extended their quantum probability fields, creating a complex interference pattern in reality itself. Where the two effects met, something unprecedented happened. Points of absolute certainty blazed into existence, moments in space-time where probability collapsed not toward the Void Architect's preferred pattern, but toward the combined will of human and Concordat consciousness. The Void entity recoiled, its mathematical form distorting as it encountered something it had never faced before. Portions of reality that refused to be rewritten. Its attempts to impose new probability patterns simply flowed around the quantum-locked zones like water around rocks. It's working, Zax Carey observed, their scales shifting to patterns of cautious hope. But can we expand the effect? Chen's response was to dive deeper into the quantum integration system, her consciousness reaching out to both human and Concordat crews. Everyone who can hear me. Focus your thoughts on this moment, this reality. Make it real. Make it certain. The effect was stunning. As hundreds of minds, both human and alien, focused on the same purpose, the quantum-locked zones began to expand. Reality crystallized not according to the Void Architect's pattern, but according to the combined will of two species fighting to preserve their existence. The Void entity's form began to fragment, its mathematical perfection disrupted by zones of probability it couldn't control. For the first time in recorded history, the Void Architect's attempt to rewrite reality had failed. As the entity retreated, its form dissolving back into quantum foam, both fleets maintained their positions, holding the quantum lock until they were certain the threat had passed. When they finally stood down, there was a moment of profound silence across all communication channels. Then, gradually, celebrations erupted across both fleets. The impossible had been achieved, not through the triumph of one species' approach over another, but through the synthesis of both. The Concordat's physical mastery combined with humanity's quantum manipulation had created something entirely new, a defense against the undefendable. This was just one entity, Chen cautioned as the celebrations continued. A scout, most likely. There will be more. But now we know it's possible. Zaxkari responded, their scales showing the deep gold of certainty. We can fight them. We can preserve our reality. More than that, Chen added, a slight smile playing across her features. We can teach other species to do the same. Create a network of quantum-locked zones across the galaxy. Build something the Void Architects can't simply erase. As the combined fleet began preparations to return to Concordat space, both species knew that everything had changed. The universe was still full of threats, still haunted by entities that viewed conscious life as an equation to be rewritten. But for the first time, there was hope. Not in the form of better weapons or stronger shields, but in the power of different species choosing to face the impossible together. The choice had been made. The results had proven its wisdom. Now, the real work could begin. One standard year after the Battle of Nexus 7, the Great Hall of the Concordat's Unity Station hummed with activity. Representatives from a dozen spacefaring civilizations gathered to witness something unprecedented. The first graduation ceremony of the Joint Quantum Integration Academy. High Admiral Zaxkari, their scales now bearing the distinctive patterns of quantum consciousness integration, watched with pride as Captain Chen addressed the assembled delegates. The hall itself was a testament to the new era of cooperation, its physical structure built by Concordat engineers, its quantum probability field maintained by human technologists. What we achieved at Nexus 7 was just the beginning, Chen declared, her form shifting slightly between quantum states as she spoke. Today, we demonstrate that our methods can be taught, shared, and adapted for different species. The graduating class stood in formation, a mix of humans, Concordat, and representatives from other civilizations who had chosen to embrace the new path. Each had undergone both physical and quantum modification, learning to bridge the gap between conventional physics and probability manipulation. The Void Architects believed they could simply rewrite our reality because they saw us as separate, disconnected variables in their equations, Chen continued. They never considered that consciousness itself could be a constant, a fixed point in probability space that refuses to be erased. A holographic display activated, showing the network of quantum-locked zones that now span significant portions of known space. Each point represented a collaboration between species, a place where reality was anchored not by technology alone, but by the combined will of multiple civilizations choosing to preserve their existence together. We've detected 3 more void incursions in the past month, Zaxkari added, stepping forward to join Chen. Each was turned back not by a single species, but by combined fleets using both conventional and quantum technologies. The enemy is learning that this galaxy will not be easily rewritten. The evidence of progress was visible even in the ships now docked at Unity Station. Concordat vessels have begun incorporating quantum probability engines, while human ships displayed the sleek efficiency of Concordat antimatter technology. New designs were emerging that synthesized both approaches, creating vessels that could navigate both physical and probability space with equal ease. But our greatest achievement, Chen gestured to the graduating class, stands before us today. These pioneers represent more than just military capability. They represent the birth of a new kind of civilization, one that recognizes that diversity of approach is not a weakness to be eliminated, but a strength to be embraced. One of the graduates, a young Concordat officer named Telexis, stepped forward. Their scales showed the unique patterns that indicated successful quantum integration, while their uniform bore both Concordat insignia and the distinctive quantum flow patterns of human design. When I first joined the academy, Telexis addressed the gathering. I thought I would have to choose between my people's way and the human path. Instead, I learned that the strongest position is the one that embraces both. The Void Architects seek to impose a single pattern on reality. Our strength lies in maintaining many patterns, many possibilities, all anchored by our shared will to exist. The ceremony concluded with a demonstration that would have been impossible a year ago. The entire graduating class joined their consciousness through quantum integration, creating a shared space that accommodated the different neural architectures of multiple species. In that space, they demonstrated how different approaches to understanding reality could complement rather than conflict with each other. As the delegates filed out to attend the reception, Captain Chen and High Admiral Zaxkari remained behind, watching as Unity Station's quantum field rippled with the combined consciousness of its inhabitants. The Void Architects are still out there, Zaxkari noted, their scales showing thoughtful patterns. And they're not the only threat our civilizations will face. True, Chen agreed. But we're no longer facing those threats as separate species hoping our individual approaches will be enough. We're building something new, a civilization that exists in both physical and probability space, anchored by the one thing the Void Architects can't simply erase: our collective choice to exist together. Through the station's quantum field, they could sense the graduates dispersing to their assignments throughout known space. Each would help establish new quantum lock zones, train others in the combined techniques, and spread the understanding that survival didn't require uniformity. Nexus 7 proved we could fight them, Chen mused. The Academy proves we can grow beyond just fighting. We're creating something they don't understand, something their mathematical patterns can't account for. We're creating hope, Zaxkari concluded, their scales shifting to the deep gold of certainty mixed with the vibrant green of new growth. Above them, Unity Station's quantum field pulsed with the combined consciousness of multiple species, each maintaining their unique perspective while contributing to a greater whole. It was more than just a defense against the Void Architects. It was a preview of what civilization could become when different paths to understanding the universe were allowed to strengthen rather than oppose each other. The dawn of this new age had arrived, and its light shone through both physical space and quantum probability, illuminating possibilities that neither humans nor the Concordat could have imagined alone.